These are 3 things that I had to give up in order to become more biblically feminine. The first thing that I chose to give up was my tomboy streetwear style of clothing. A lot of Christians may disagree with this and say God is one who doesn't look on the outside, he looks on the inside. But the reality is the outward is a direct reflection of what is in the inward. The fact that I was not just wanting but so comfortable dressing masculine was evidence that I was ashamed of the God-given sex, gender, and nature that God gave me as a woman. The more steps that I took to dress more feminine, I found myself being much more confident, much more loving, much more soft and gentle to those around me, which we as all Christians, but especially women of God, are called to be. Secondly, I had to give up this idea that everybody, but especially my male counterparts, were my competition. So somebody who grew up in sports and has a very natural competitive nature, I was going completely against what God's design was for male to female to complement one another. What it really was the ideas and ideology of feminism seeping into my mind. Feminism pushes a pit against the sexes. They preach men versus women, while again, God preaches that men and women come together to complete the image of God. So once I realized that the men in my life were not competition, rather they were my complementary counterpart, the relationships in my life with my husband, my dad, increased tremendously, and I found myself no longer trying to prove myself better than or being able to keep up with the guys. The third thing that I had to give up, and I'm still working on a daily basis, was the need to constantly be heard and the obsession with talking significantly more than I listen. The Bible makes it very clear that a foolish person speaks many words, but a wise person uses discretion. They know when to speak, how to speak, and how to communicate what they want to say with very little words. The Bible also makes it very clear that we are called to be slow to speak and quick to listen, and I believe this is a commandment even more so towards women because we have a higher proclivity to talk more than our male counterparts. And I actually found when I put in the effort to speak significantly less than I listen, the intimacy with my husband increased. The relationships around me began to flourish. I no longer had this lingering insecurity to be heard. I cared more about what other people had to say, which is exactly the heart that God has for us.